What's up, nerd family? Welcome to the Poindexter Lounge. My name is Enosh, aka Enosh Fett, and it is good to have you with me here in the lounge today. Today we're going to be talking about some stuff that might be uncomfortable for some, so I'm just going to let you know right off the bat. But we're going to talk about some stuff that needs to be talked about. Because I want to say first off, right off the bat, I want to make very plain. That's why I called this a reasonable discussion in the thing, because I know there's going to be some people who think that I'm just going to say, oh well, he shouldn't have been fired. Hartley shouldn't have been fired or whatever, and that's not what I'm here to say. That's not what I'm here to say. But I want you to hear me out. What's up, Alex? What's up, Sky? Welcome. Here's the thing. I want to say first of all and foremost, I do not agree with, I do not condone, I do not come alongside or support any of the tweets, the comments, the things that have been said, the things that have been done by these people who, not just Hartley, but others that we're going to talk about today, who have said some horrible things, who have done some horrible things in their past. What I want to talk about today is not whether or not those things are bad, because we all agree those things are bad. Okay, if you use certain derogatory language against people, I'm sorry, you're just wrong. If you say hurtful things, now I will say this: I believe in freedom of speech, and I believe that speech, no matter how much we don't like it, as much as it may tick me off, as much as it may make me mad at somebody personally, that they would even say such a thing. They have the right to say it, right? It has the right to be said because we live, at least here in the United States. If you're watching from someplace else, I get it. There are other countries that don't have the same freedoms quite that we have. And so you may not have freedom of speech where you're at. But here in the United States, we have freedom of speech. Which means you may not like what's said, and it may be hurtful, and it may be wrong in the eyes of the majority of people. But it doesn't negate the fact that people have the right to say it. Dan just hit it. You have freedom of speech, but you don't have freedom of consequence. Right? So I want to make very clear off the top that my discussion today is not coming from a place of saying these things are okay. These things that people have said are okay. And I am not even saying that there shouldn't be a consequence to things that people say and the things that people do. But I do want to talk about a couple of things today, and I hope that we can have a good discussion about this. I hope that you can understand where I'm coming from. And as always, I'm definitely willing to hear from you guys, what you guys think about this. And who knows, at the end of this conversation, I may change your mind on some things, you may change my mind on some things, or we may find that we agreed all along. I don't know. But I hope you can see my heart and where I'm coming from with this. So we all know that yesterday, Hartley, who played Dibny on The Flash, which is a show that we obviously are very connected to here on the channel. We live stream, watch parties of The Flash. We've talked about many times that Dibny's one of our favorite characters. And to be quite honest with you, in the last couple seasons, Dibny's been probably one of the better things about the show, to be just quite honest with you. But we're living in a world right now where if somebody says something that we don't like, we're just gonna, and I know the term right now is we just cancel them, right? We just get rid of them. We throw them to the side. We have no conversations. It's a lot easier to deal with to just fire somebody, get rid of somebody, whatever, than to actually have a conversation, actually talk to somebody about maybe why they said the things that they said, how long ago those things were said, what has happened in that person's life between then and now. There's a lot of different things. But what I want to talk about here is responsibility, right? And I will also want to talk about, I want to weigh out responsibility in many different ways. The responsibility of the person in general who said the things, but also the responsibility of the people who hired these people to begin with, that gave these people a voice and an opportunity to be in front of us as characters. But then also, I want to talk about the hypocrisy of what happens with a lot of these so-called cancellations, of who gets canceled, who doesn't get canceled, who seems to be protected, and who seems to be just, we're just easily going to toss them to the side. No more talking about it. No more discussion. It's easily dismissed, and they're just gone. So let's first talk about Mr. Hartley. Yes. So apparently 6 to 8 years ago, and I think that that's important. 6 to 8 years ago, Hartley made some very derogatory, some inflammatory statements on Twitter, which I think, Twitter just, oh my gosh, Twitter just brings out the worst in people. I have been on Twitter more in these last 2 weeks than I think I've ever been on in my life, just because it's how some people that I've been communicating with lately just communicate. And I realize why I don't like Twitter. I just don't like Twitter. It's all these little statements that people make that they can hide behind, that they don't have to prove anything. They don't have to say anything else. They just make these little statements that are just out there. And sorry, but you know what? If society changes their perception over time, you have just created a snapshot of your anger, of your ignorance, of your stupidity. And this goes all across the board. I've said this a lot about a lot of people. Our president, especially our president, is, for God's sake, somebody take the man off of Twitter. Okay? Somebody stop this stuff. Jeremy Harris chimes in with $5. Jeremy, I feel you, brother. I feel you. Thank you so much, brother. Jeremy, he's in the choir today, and Jeremy says, "I'm so done. He was my favorite character. Love the channel. Keep it up. Thank you." But I want to get through this, and then we'll jump into the comment section, and I appreciate you all. And if anybody does give a super chat or whatever, that's fine, and we will read that. We'll be excited, and thank you so much. We love you guys so much for that. But we will get to those comments here just shortly. But I just want to say that, so the things that he said are completely wrong. But you take a snapshot of your ignorance or stupidity. Here's the problem: people change, society changes. It can either evolve or it can devolve, even in many instances. And so we have this problem right now, where instead of going after people for what they do now, or maybe what they think now, or what they believe now, or what society as a whole believes, we're going back in time and we're finding stuff. I mean, in this case, it's 6 to 8 years ago, which is not a long time, but 6 to 8 years is still a considerable amount of time, right? That people can change. It's not like it was last week, okay? And if somebody's got something that he tweeted last week that was like this, then hey, I am willing to change my stance on this completely, because that is a current problem, right? That's a current issue with somebody's stuff. But this, we've seen now in the last few weeks, one thing after another, one person after another. So this week it's Mr. Hartley, right? This week it's him. It's Hartley. Last week it was Robert Myers Burnett, who, if you guys watch John Campia's show, he's been on there. If you guys used to watch Collider, he's on there. He's on the Schmoes Know stuff. He got angry about what was going on with the riots and everything because, We're all very upset. If you got half a brain and you got a heart in you, you're upset about what you're seeing in the world today. You're upset about these things. And he is very left leaning. He's very liberal in his ideas, in his politics. He's very outspoken about that. And he's very anti-gun. Yet he came out and said about the older gentleman, the 70-year-old police officer who was retired police officer who was killed defending his friend's shop. He said he asked the question, where were the gun-toting people then? Why wasn't somebody defending some? Everybody, wants to run out and say, I have a gun for protection. Where was it then? And man, he got chewed up and spit out. I mean, Christian Harloff went on, did a 2-hour live session where he didn't say anything. He just kept repeating the same thing over and over again, that basically they had a discussion. We were not privy to that information. We have no idea as fans what that information was or what was said or done or any of that stuff. But just that they talked, and Robert wasn't coming back. Now, John Campea has said that him and Robert had a talk, and that Robert said, I'm going to take a break and stuff, but John Campea said Robert will be back. Christian just said he's not coming back, and so basically they just got rid of him. They just tossed him to the side, and people were saying stuff about him that doesn't even make any sense. I mean, they were saying that now all of a sudden he's right wing, he's in with Trump, he's in this, and it was like, that couldn't be further from who Robert Meyer Burnett is. I mean, it couldn't be further from who the man is, but quickly people jump on that. Then you look. Couple weeks before that, Jimmy Fallon. Jimmy Fallon, the sweetheart of late night television. Which, you know what? Look, if I had my way, Jimmy Fallon wouldn't be hosting the Tonight Show. I like Jimmy Fallon. I enjoyed him on Saturday Night Live, right? But here's the thing. I'm a Conan O'Brien guy. So I absolutely hated what they did to Conan O'Brien a decade ago. And it ticks me off still to this day because I love Conan O'Brien. And I feel like Conan O'Brien got screwed over what happened to him, but has nothing to do with this, right? Jimmy Fallon, somebody pulls up a Saturday Night Live episode from the 90s, late 90s, on him in blackface. Is it wrong? Absolutely. Absolutely. Is it ever right to do blackface? No. But you're talking over 20 years ago. Now, I'm not saying it was okay then. I'm just saying society looked at things differently, and apparently it got past Saturday Night Live, which is a very liberal and left-leaning show. Now, I love Saturday Night Live. Okay? I watch Saturday Night Live all the time. Tiffany and I watch Saturday Night Live all the time. I've been through it for the good and the bad and the stupid and everything in between. Okay? But here's the thing. I just like Saturday Night Live. I just like the idea of it. Do I like the fact that he did that? No, I do not. Do I think it's apprehensible? Yeah. I think it's horrible. It's repulsive. Has he continued to do a Chris Rock impersonation? Maybe not in blackface, but has he done a Chris Rock impersonation for years? Yes. And you can tell me 30 years later somebody finally saw it? Who was it who saw it? Who was it who brought it up? I don't know. But it's been out there forever. The man's been hosting the Tonight Show. He's everybody's darling. He works with the Roots. He works with everybody else. And nobody has said a word. Chris Rock has never come out and condemned him for this. And now all of a sudden, people were calling for him to be canceled and wanted him to lose the Tonight Show. And then a few weeks before that, apparently, Twitter and the whole world discovered the movie Tropic Thunder. Because everyone's darling Robert Downey Jr., Iron Man himself, the person that has been so much in the hearts of fans now for the last few years, the man, literally, people were gunning for his head. Because somebody finally got it. Apparently somebody was really bored during quarantine and went to the $5 bin at Walmart and picked up a copy of Tropic Thunder, which is a hilarious movie, and decided, wait a second, that's Robert Downey Jr. in blackface. We need to cancel him. We need to get rid of him. Now look, am I saying that these things are right? No, absolutely not. They're reprehensible. I do not agree with these choices that these people have made. I do not agree with what Hartley said. I don't agree with his tweets. I don't agree now. But here's the thing. What I do have a problem with is when people make a distinction between some people and others. And there's a hypocrisy there. That some people who do things, we just give them a slap on the wrist and say, well, they were just being funny. They were just being ironic. They were just doing something else. And other people who do the exact same things, we totally try to destroy their careers and take away everything that they are about. Now, Hartley said Hartley offered an apology. And I felt by reading it that it was pretty heartfelt. He said, look, this is not who I am. He says, I have people in my life now that have changed the way that I look at things. It's changed the way that I see life. It's changed the way that I see people. And now I'm a different person. And some of those things that I said, trying to be humorous or trying to make jokes back then, I wouldn't say those things today. And people say, well, it's not funny. It's not funny. It's not funny. Okay, yeah, it's not funny. But here's the problem I have. Why is it that I can watch Comedy Central's roasts where people say the most misogynistic, the most homophobic, the most transphobic, the most insulting things that you can possibly say to somebody, but because it's humor, Alec Baldwin can get away with it? Or anybody who's on any of those panels can say anything literally that they want to say that's written for them by people who are telling jokes in the most awful ways, and that's okay. Or that Jimmy Fallon for a day or so can get all these bad things said about him, and people can even suggest that he be canceled, and there's no chance of that happening. I don't see NBC coming out and saying, these things are things that we don't align with anymore, because NBC is guilty of it, because NBC wrote the stuff. Saturday Night Live wrote the sketch that Jimmy Fallon was in blackface. And they thought it was okay. The leftist-leaning show probably on TV, besides The Daily Show, wrote that and put that out there. Put it out there for everybody to see, and it's been out there for almost 30 years. So somebody had to come to his defense. Robert Downey Jr., somebody had to come to his defense. But Roseanne Barr, and I don't even like Roseanne Barr, but Roseanne Barr makes a bunch of stupid statements, and because apparently her politics don't agree with other people's, we cancel her. We get rid of her. Which, she's really grating on the nerves anyway. So, I don't... that your preferred taste is something completely different, right? But the thing is, why is it that some people are just funny and okay and it's all right, we can get over it, and we get over it quickly, real quickly, but others, we're going to destroy them? And here's the thing is, I've taken real notice of this, given the fact of who it was this time. Because we watch The Flash, we're involved with The Flash. Some of these other people I don't really care about, but I watch The Flash, and we're talking about a character. I don't care about the person. I don't care what the guy believes, because most of Hollywood has a totally different take on life than what I do. But I don't care what the man believes, or what he thinks, or where he's at. It's a character that I care about. It's a character that I like. And so now, you're going to tell me that we're going to fire him. The Flash TV show comes out with this big statement about how these values don't align with ours, and so they're going to fire him right on the spot. Here's the problem. These people who are calling for everybody to be canceled, fired, gotten rid of, eliminated, and some of them probably need to be for some of the things that they've done. But the people who are calling for these things, look at James Gunn. For God's sake, James Gunn said some horrible, awful things. Do I like James Gunn? I love his movies. I love the direction that he's taken the movies that he's in. I'm excited to see Suicide Squad, but the man said some reprehensible stuff online, and people say now, oh, he was just joking. And his cast members literally wrote a letter defending him to get him rehired by Disney to come back and do Guardians of the Galaxy just because they liked the movies that he made. Let's be honest. So for some people, even if they get fired, even if they do get canceled, they have a doorway back in just because of who they are. But so now they fire Hartley. So no more elongated man, no more Dibny on the Flash. The whole storyline with him meeting his wife and everything, that's going to be gone. And hey, I understand, there's bigger problems in the world than a storyline on the Flash. But here's the thing. Immediately, if you follow this on Twitter, you will notice something interesting. Because I went to go follow it yesterday. As soon as I heard the news, I was like, well, what in the world, man? I need to read this. I need to find out what this is all about. Who are these people? Why are they canceling this guy? What did he say? What did he do? And you know what? I went through thread after thread trying to just find what he did, and nobody was talking about him. You know who they were talking about? They were talking about Anna Panabaker. Caitlyn on the show. Because people were saying, yep, we got rid of Dibny, now we're coming for you. And I was like, what did she do? But apparently, she made the mistake of saying at some point that she had wished, literally, that she wished that her character of Caitlyn could get together with Barry's character. With the character of Barry, the Flash. Thus prompting that she must be racist. And apparently, something I never heard of, but apparently that her and the actress who plays Iris don't get along. So she must be racist, and they were literally calling for her to be fired next. I'm telling you what, you fire Dibny, you fire Caitlyn, you don't have a show anymore. Because everybody else on the show has become boring and dull. They've literally cut the legs out from underneath Cisco. Cisco has become dull and boring now. I absolutely love the character of Cisco. And you guys know, if you follow this channel, I love the show The Flash. But come on. Like, Cisco has become just a downer in every episode. He's mad at everybody all the time. Iris, we just went through this whole thing where she got stuck in the mirror, right? And the evil persona of her came out of the mirror. And I'll be honest with you, it was hard to tell that it was if we didn't know as the audience that it was a different person. It was pretty hard to tell a difference. No wonder Barry couldn't tell a difference for weeks on the show, because she still griped and complained and acted like a jerk to him. She just acted in ways that I can't even say those words because I don't use those words. But that's how she acted on the show. The character, not the actress, the character. So I don't care about Iris anymore. Half the time, because of what's going on, I don't care about Barry anymore half the time, because Barry just mopes around and whines about everything and is just literally like running around like a little puppy dog being told what to do all the time. Either that or he's off on some crusade because like nobody else can help him with anything. So all I'm saying is, when it comes down to it, I don't care about the TV show. Look, if the TV show continues, it continues. Right? Good for the TV show. I really don't care about the actor, Hartley as just a standalone actor. If he says that these were things said at a different time in his life, I just don't understand why we just have to absolutely destroy people. And I've heard it said, but it is so true, because if we keep doing this, if we keep trying to destroy everybody, everybody's just going to cannibalize themselves. It's all just going to implode. So I'm suggesting this right now. Can we just now cancel everybody? Everybody. Because the longer this goes on, the longer somebody has a career, I guarantee you there will be something that comes up in everyone's career, that'll be something defaming, that'll be something that somebody's going to disagree with, that as society progresses forward and becomes whatever it's going to become, we're going to hate on something that somebody said. We're going to find it detestable. We're going to as we grow, as we learn, we're going to disagree with things that have been said. Things that are said right now in 2020, 10 years from now, 15 years from now, I'm sure that there's going to be another way of thinking that people are going to hate something that somebody did now and think is okay. I remember, and here's the problem, I remember well-known comedians, left-wing comedians, people who are staunchly liberal. And I'm not harping on liberals here. You're not going to hear me. I'm not getting political. I'm not telling you who you should vote for, who you shouldn't vote for, what my political leanings, what they are, what they're not. I'm just saying, how hypocritical is it to see people who told jokes, comedians who told jokes about mentally challenged people and called them the R word and mocked them. And nowadays, in our day and time now, talk about how horrible it is, and I don't feel that it's right. I don't think that it's right at all, but you're going to act like you didn't do that. You can go on YouTube, find comedy, stand-up comedy pieces where people say things that are absolutely atrocious 20, 30, sometimes 40 years ago. And nobody is batting an eye about that. How is that? How? How are we picking and choosing who we destroy and who we don't? Right? How in the world can these people possibly hope to hold anybody else up to some unknown, and it is unknown because it changes. It's a revolving door. Some unknown standard that these people can't even live up to themselves. It's crazy. It's insane. And I'm tired of waking up every day, it seems, or every week for the last month and a half, to somebody else being canceled or thrown under the bus or told that they're evil, told that they've made the worst choices in the world, that they're absolute evil, and with no defense, that there can be no grace on it at all. There can be no understanding of where that person was maybe at that time. I would love for somebody to try to explain this to me, and maybe you are in the comments, and I'll get to the comments in a second. But and we'll go through the comments and we'll read them. I want to read them. I want to know what you guys think. But here's the thing. You tell me that you're proud of every single thing that you've done. Every single thing. In private, when nobody else was watching, when you were alone with your friends, when you were younger, maybe you were in your 20s, maybe it was before all the things, started happening. And here's the thing. What are we doing now? What are we doing now with people like Amber Heard? Right? So apparently, and John Campea said it best, so we can get rid of Elongated Man on CWTV, but Warner Brothers still hasn't even issued a statement on look, I love Ezra Miller as the Flash, and I want to see that movie. I want to see it. We're going to get to see him in the Snyder cut of Justice League that we're super excited about. But they haven't even said a word about whatever that was that happened a couple of months ago with him and that girl and him grabbing her by the throat. Now they've said that was real. There's been all kinds of stuff that came out that said that it was real, but it looked really weird. So I don't know what to believe. I wasn't there. I can't make a judgment. Yet I've seen plenty of people making judgment calls before anything was said. And now, like I said, literally Dibny's character comes up. And then all of a sudden, literally, I read a tweet yesterday from somebody that was asking, because all these people were saying, well, what did Panabaker do? What did she do? Why are we going after her? Why are we all gonna they were part of a group and they just needed to know like who they were protesting next, right? And they were like, why are we going after her? What did she do? We like her. Did she say something? Did she do something? And then I literally read a tweet from somebody that said, well, I don't know what she did, but, you know, I believe it. I believe it. When did we get into a place where we automatically believe the worst of somebody before giving them a chance to defend themselves, before even hearing the accusation, that all that needs to be said is they're bad, they did a bad thing, and we just go, oh, okay, let's get rid of them? It's so much easier to do that. It's so much easier to just delete people. It's so much easier to cancel people than to have discussions, to talk about things, and to actually, if you actually care about this thing so much, if you care about what these people said so much, don't you want them to be rehabilitated? Don't you want them to be somebody that you can talk this out? Yes, that there should be consequences. Yes, that they are embarrassed. They're drug out before everybody in public opinion, maybe, for the things that they've said because they're wrong. And I think that it goes for everybody. But you do that, and people learn a lesson. It's so much easier, though, to just throw people away. It's so much easier for the CW to issue a statement that goes, well, you know, we don't agree with these people, and we don't agree with Mr. Hartley for what he said, so we're going to let him go. So you're going to tell me that everybody that works for Warner Brothers or the CW or that is on a show all has to have the same belief system? They all have to say the same exact things and be cookie cutters of each other, or else we're just going to hate them and we're just going to throw them away. That, ladies and gentlemen, is a problem. It's a problem. And I don't understand why we're just so quick to do that. Why are we so quick to do that? But that's the discussion that I want to have today. And that's just where I'm at. I'm just seeing a hypocrisy in it that some people are absolutely destroyed. Their careers are absolutely destroyed. And some of them, hey, rightfully so. Some people have done some things that hurt others, that cause physical harm to others, that cause emotional harm to others. I'm talking real emotional harm, not just I didn't like it, and so I think you should, pay a penalty for it. I'm talking real emotional harm, scarring on people's lives, not just the stuff that people are yelling about because you said something that offended me, because I'm over the I got offended thing. I'm talking about people who've done real evil, wrong things, assaulted people, molested people, took advantage of people, raped people, doing these things that are awful, horrible things that they need to be taken out of their positions. They need to be stripped of those things because they're not things that you can just go, well, I've changed since then. No, there's things that, like, they're criminal, right? And that they need to be dealt with if they have not been dealt with. But I'm just interested in how we can forgive a multitude of sins except for when it comes to apparently some. And we can forgive people like Jimmy Fallon real quick. We can forgive people like Robert Downey Jr. real quick. But apparently we can't forgive Robert Meyer Burnett for being upset and frustrated about the death and the wrong that's going on in our world right now. Apparently we can't forgive others who say wrong things, and maybe they're at a different place now in their life and they've changed and they admit that and they own up to it. And also, who are these people who are hiring people that now we have to go back 20 years and find dirt on them? So that's my question to you today. I want to have a discussion. Like I said, I'm not trying to stand here and say that I am above anybody or that I have some supreme knowledge of everything. Like I said, at the end of the day, you talk, I talk. You may convince me, I may convince you. We may have some common ground that we weren't unaware of. Let's find out. All right. So we got some pleasantries first. Obviously, we said hi to Alex and Sky. Hi, Michelle. Hi, Dan Murphy. Dan said originally, hi, Enash, freedom of speech, but not freedom from consequences of said speech, and I totally believe that because you can't just say anything. If you got something to say, if you're going to say something, then you got to be prepared to deal with the consequences for sure. The Truth says, "What's going on, everybody? You're seeing it." Richard's here. Hello. Go Time Now says hello. Caleb says, my stance is if this was going to be a problem, CW should have looked at his social media beforehand and just not hired him. Exactly, Caleb. If this is the type of world that we're going to live in, where we're going to hold people accountable for social media posts from years ago, then companies should be looking at those posts beforehand. I don't know that it should be legal for you to fire people over speech. You're taking away somebody's right to employment. So I don't know. I mean, and you tell me. I don't know that should be. I get it if there's certain speech that really just is, illegal speech. Things that promote illegal activities, things that promote violence. I get those things. I just don't know that that's what we're seeing here. Richard says, I can see where you're coming from, but in the regards of Mr. Hartley, he had to know that this could possibly be brought to light. For sure. I'm sure he did. My only thing, Richard, is, like I said before, like, here we are years later, and he not only apologized, but like if you read his statement, he talks about it. He says, look, I've had people come into my life since then who have changed my thoughts on a lot of things. And I think that what I said, what I did was wrong. Now, here's the thing. We can always ask the question, why didn't he need to delete the tweets? Probably because he forgot they were there, because they're from 6 to 8 years ago. Why didn't James Gunn delete the tweets that he tweeted? Because I like James Gunn's movies, and I'm glad that he's doing Suicide Squad. But let's be honest, the things that he said and the things that he did were not funny. And here's the problem that I have, is that Hartley said, I said some things that I thought were funny back then, that I was making jokes about, that I don't think are funny now. And all these people immediately attacked him and said, he needs to go. He needs to be fired. And they fired him. James Gunn gets fired initially by Disney, but then comes out and says, look, I wasn't meaning any harm by those things. Those things were said in jest. I was trying to be funny. I was being sarcastic. I was making jokes about pedophilia and things like that out of jokes. They were jokes. Okay, well, you know what? I watch the average Comedy Central roast, and I see jokes like that all the time. So why is it some jokes are okay and other jokes aren't okay? Because I would think that James Gunn would have known that could possibly come back and bite him. Yet all these same people, and I know it's the same people who jump to James Gunn's defense because they like him. I don't see those same people coming to good old Dibney's defense. Why? Is it a popularity contest? Is it a thing of if you're popular enough, you can get away with saying things 8, 10, 12, 15 years ago and nobody will call you on it? Which is it? I mean, which is it? If it's a standard that we're going to say that, you know what? Anything and everything is fair game. Anything and everything you've ever said is fair game. We can bring it back. And we can say that that's how you feel about things now. Then it should be the same for everybody. There shouldn't be these tiers of, well, we're not gonna let it go, but you, it's okay. We know that you're Jimmy Fallon and you probably didn't mean to do anything wrong. You know what I'm saying? Like, Jimmy Fallon came out and gave a heartfelt, apology. But don't you think Jimmy Fallon had to know that, like, somehow that, I mean, with all these people talking about blackface in the news and everything else, don't you think that Jimmy Fallon, if he really cared about that, why wouldn't he come out? I mean, Jimmy Fallon has literally talked about the politicians and the other people in his monologues about people doing blackface, and he's done it on TV. I mean, don't you think if you're going to get ahead of something, you get ahead of it then and you go, look, you know what? I just want to take a minute of my monologue and say, I'm talking about these things, but here's the deal. Back in the late 90s, this is something that I did because the times were different, because people thought it was funny, and I don't think it's funny and it's something wrong, and I want to talk about it myself. But no, they waited. They waited because nobody wants to out themselves like that, and everybody hopes that it'll just go away, I guess. But it's a compromise. And then Jeremy Harris coming in that $5 says, I'm so done. He was my favorite character. Love the channel. Keep it up. Thank you, man. I really appreciate it, Jeremy. The Flash is going to be really interesting if this is how we're going to look at stuff. Alex said, same thing happened to James Gunn, and he clearly has changed. That's the thing. Like, people can change. Just because people were some way, a few years ago, people can change. Jeremy says, I wasn't the same person 5 years ago. LOL, right? I mean, look, I'd look at, man, when, like 5 years ago, I was a different person. I was at a different place in my life. It was a completely different, time just 5 years ago. Dan Murphy says, right, Alex? Why do some get to be forgiven for things done in the past and others don't? It's crazy. It is. It's just this hypocrisy that we're seeing over and over and over again. And it's playing out with Hollywood. And Hollywood is literally, because listen, all the Hollywood people are together. They all believe the same things now. They all are sniffing each other's butts. They all believe the same thing. And you know what? Here's the reality. They don't even all believe it, because they all in private say and do things that are still disgusting and horrible and reproachable, and that we wouldn't trust our own kids around these Hollywood elite if we knew the kind of stuff that they were doing behind closed doors. Trust me. All right. When you hear the stories that come out about people, and I've heard stories about musicians. Look, I'm a musician. I've been a musician my whole life. I've toured in a band. I've been around. Look, the stuff that people do, the debauchery that goes on, the stuff that you read a book. The Motley Crue movie just came out, last year or whatever. And look, it was an interesting book. It was an interesting movie. But the reality is those are the type of people, like, we can all say, well, man, I love Motley Crue. Motley Crue's got some great songs, right? And I dig some Motley Crue. I love it, man. I jammed to some Motley Crue. But you know what kind of debauchery? And they flaunt it. It's a band that absolutely flaunts it. You got Gene Simmons coming out going, man, I've slept with over 25,000 women. Right? I mean, and these people who all of a sudden start hating on everything. Look, one of my favorites is Jimmy Kimmel. Jimmy Kimmel, if anybody needs to go, it's Jimmy Kimmel. If anybody in this Hollywood elite group needs to be canceled, and if we're going to go on this, I mean, because you don't have to look far. It's not like it's this guy has literally checked off every one of these little things on this checklist of stuff that you could get canceled for. And the man is still in his position and still mocking other people who go through this stuff. Literally laughing in the face of other people getting canceled, other people being put through this stuff, other people being mocked and put down. And the man, I mean, he was on the Man Show. Do we forget that? Do we forget that Jimmy Kimmel, yes, Mr. I'm all, squeaky clean now, and I've got a talk show and I do interviews and I'm legitimate. Jimmy Kimmel had a show called The Man Show on Comedy Central. The same network that brings us The Daily Show, where we got to listen to Trevor Noah. Look, I at least like Jon Stewart, but I get so sick of listening to Trevor Noah. Trevor Noah is how he got that job, I'll never know. But they will throw anything and everything under the bus that believes in a different thing or looks at life in a different way than them and mock it completely. Yet on that same network, you had a show called The Man Show, where you had a group of women who were in bikinis, sometimes less, sometimes lingerie, sometimes cut off tops and little hot pants and bikini bottoms and stuff, jumping up and down. They had a segment on every show where they jumped up and down on trampolines in those things, and they literally called them juggies. Same show. Jimmy Kimmel did impersonations of Karl Malone and Oprah Winfrey in blackface. And at least Jimmy Fallon did an impersonation of Chris Rock as Chris Rock. The impersonation of Karl Malone and Oprah Winfrey were degrading, making Karl Malone look like he couldn't read a sentence, like he couldn't make a coherent thought or anything like that. And that man is still allowed to come to you nightly. How? How are we picking and choosing this stuff? Who is it who is sitting up in some crystal palace somewhere of no sin, because they must have no sin in their life, they must have no reproaches at all, to sit up in their crystal tower and throw rocks down and say, this is who we're canceling today? Give me a break. The Truth 31 says, friendships don't mean anything in the entertainment business. It's all about protecting your brand. Exactly. The second that some person goes down, everybody swarms. It's like ants. It's like you put a piece of meat in there, you put some sugar in there, whatever. The ants are just going to come and devour it. And that's how the Hollywood elite are. And it's sickening. What's up, Yova? Yova Rod says, hi, Poindexter. Hi, hey, everyone. Good to see you. Prince Goro says, as a British guy of Indian origin, I'm fed up with the virtue signaling and blaming the white man for all the world's problems. Everybody has the opportunity to make whatever life, whatever they want. Look, here's the thing. I don't want to get into a big racial thing, but you know what? Prince Goro, you make some good points there. And I understand that there are people who are from different circumstances or whatever. Look, I grew up in a home. My grandmother raised me and my two sisters. My grandmother had nothing. Okay? My grandmother had a really hard time when she took us in. She had gone through a period of time where she lost everything. My grandmother had been really well off at one point. We lived in Las Vegas. She was in the entertainment industry herself. She ran around with some pretty popular people back in the 60s. She was friends with Tom Jones and Engelbert Humperdinck and, Sonny and Cher. And my mom had pictures with the Osmonds and, Michael Jackson back in the day when, he was with the Jackson 5 and all that stuff. And then my grandmother became a Christian. My grandmother dedicated her life to the Lord and walked away from all of that. I mean, left her home, left her everything out there, and moved back to Michigan. Left it all behind. Totally turned her back on it. I mean, like, literally, my grandmother was getting ready to go into the movie. She had signed a deal with MGM. I could show you guys pictures of my grandmother's portfolio as a platinum blonde. She was getting ready to do a picture about the life story of Marilyn Monroe. And she had an experience with God, she said, and she totally changed, dropped it all. We still got her portfolio. I've got all the contracts. I've got that whole thing still. But because of that, my grandmother sacrificed a lot. And then my mother had problems with drugs and alcohol. And me and my three sisters ended up coming to live with my grandmother. No man supporting her. No nothing. My grandmother, man, she took care of us and she raised us. And times were tough sometimes. And we lived in Flint, Michigan, in one of the worst places, ever. But we made it. Now, I understand everybody's situation is different, and you can't just say, well, that everybody, necessarily has the same shake in life and everybody has the same thing. But there's some times where you have to question, when do people stop complaining? When do people start doing? So I'll put that out there. You guys can answer that question. The Ambassador, what's up, The Ambassador? I want to announce I will be on The Ambassador's channel this Saturday night. Coming up here, we're going to be doing a live thing, and so they've asked me to be on a panel, and so a bunch of guys that bunch of different channels. You guys may have seen Max from Geeks and Gamers Entertainment, not Geeks and Gamers with Jeremy, now with the pool boy. I loved it when he said that. But just a good group of guys, and I'm happy now to be associating with them. And so the Ambassador says, good afternoon, all. Richard Gilbert says, Dan and Alex, it's how they will be perceived if they condone it and let it go. I understand both sides, but for companies, it's important. So I get it that it's important. But if it's important, why isn't it consistent? That's my question, right? Like, I'd be fine if they said, look, we're going to look into everybody's past, and if there's anything, we can't have them on television. We can't have them on our broadcast. We can't have people who believe X, Y, Z. But why is it okay for some and not okay for others just because of money? See what I'm saying? That's what it shows you, that it's not about the content. It's not about what the people did or said or any of those things. It's not about this sense of goodness. It's not about that at all. No, what it's about is money. Because who do you think brings in more money? Jimmy Fallon or the dude who plays Dibney on The Flash? Who brings in more money? It's a pretty simple one. Does Robert Downey Jr. bring in more money? Or some of these other people? What's up, Andrew Farr? Andrew Farr just gave $10 to the super chat. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, brother. Well, my computer, my Safari keeps wanting to crash on me for some reason. I don't know why. I got to bring this back up here. Hold on just a second, brother. Everyone who gives gets the special treatment. Brother, we thank you for partnering with the Poindexter Lounge, brother. You are blessed. May you be blessed. Thank you right now for reaching out and touching and agreeing with us here in the Poindexter Lounge. And I want to address Andrew's comment. He says, it's always refreshing to come across Christ followers on YouTube. I always look forward to watching your videos every day. You are a good man, sir. Keep it up. Man, I will say what Jesus said. Why call you me good? I don't claim to be good. I appreciate the sentiment. I know what you're saying, man, and I definitely appreciate it. Look, because I try to put to practice what I believe, right? And I'm fine with having those conversations with people. But if you come to the channel, you'll know that this channel is for everybody. This channel isn't just about, I'm not up on some soapbox preaching to everybody and trying to tell everybody everything. But here's the thing. I believe that if I'm going to believe something, that I need to live it. And I think those are standards that we all need to try to uphold and try to live by. If we're going to say something, not just because of money, not just because of fame, not just because of will it deter our social status or whatever, but say what you believe. Stand by what you believe, you know? Okay, let's see where we were at before my window crashed here. Gavin says, hi Enosh, why has Ralph been sacked from The Flash for Mate? So you can find it all over. You can go to the Hollywood Reporter. You can look that up online. It's very simple. He was on Twitter. Basically, he said some things like 8 to 6 years ago, which would be considered misogynistic. He said some things about women's breasts, and then also made some poor choices in some of the things that he said. Isn't it? Some of them not just poor choices, but thought some things were funny that aren't funny. Look, and me as a person of faith, I don't think they're funny. I wouldn't go around making jokes about women in that way. I wouldn't go around. He made some jokes about homosexuals that was not cool. like I don't go around making jokes like that. I don't go around telling jokes like that or saying things like that. And but he did this like, 6 to 8 years ago. And now he's lost his job over something that happened 6 to 8 years ago. And he said himself that he was a different person 6 to 8 years ago. And he felt he felt different ways back then, but since then he's had people come into his life that helped him to see things in a different way, and he's learned and he's grown. And I don't know how much we can just destroy people for that now. The ambassador says this cancel culture is nonsense and for the gutless. So you know what? You bring up a really good point, because this is what I'm saying. How do you actually bring about change? Do you bring about change by firing everybody and just getting rid of them and just making them go away, which makes, because that's the immediate thing. You think you made the problem go away, but it really doesn't. Or do you have them stay and you have a discussion and you use it as a teaching moment? I have 3 sons. You guys see them here on the channel. I have 3 sons. If they do something wrong, do I just get rid of one? No. If they make a bad decision or a bad choice, do I just disown one? No. Here in our home, if something happens, we sit down, we talk about it, we're honest about it, and we use things as teaching moments. If I see somebody else making a bad decision, this whole Dibney thing, like if I see somebody else making a bad decision and saying things that they shouldn't say, we're going to sit down, we're going to have a talk about it, because it's in the news, it's about something that we love, it's about something that we appreciate and we really, really like. So I'm going to sit down and I'm going to have a discussion and say, okay, look, here are the things that are right and wrong. Here are the things that we can learn from it. And I hope that you guys, as young men, grow up to learn that you don't make these kind of choices, that you don't say these kind of things, that you use your social media more responsibly. Right? But how far back are you going to go? You're going to go back to MySpace? You're going to go pull up everything that was ever said on MySpace, last decade and pull that out somehow and say, well, you said this back when, you were 20 years old. 19 years old. Then it was Facebook, right? And in the early days of Facebook, a lot of people started saying a lot of things online that they thought they had anonymity. After Facebook, all of a sudden you get Twitter. People still rattling off on Twitter or Instagram. Now you got TikTok. What do you think's going to happen, folks, in 20 years when some of these TikTok videos that don't go away are revealed? People trying to get jobs, and they're shaking their butts. They're shaking other parts of their bodies. They're starting OnlyFans sites and all this stuff where people can go look at them naked and pay money to look at people naked and doing pornographic things online. And then all of a sudden that runs out and they got to go get a real job, and that's going to show up. Responsibility. I pray that if we learn anything from any of this, be responsible online. Everybody doesn't need to know what you think. Everybody doesn't need to know what you think about every topic, right? We don't have to use our platforms as a bully pulpit for everything, right? And we need to listen to each other. Alex says, I'm on Twitter, and I only use it to follow people who aren't that political and people I know. God bless you, Alex, because I'm right there with you, man. And I'm always disappointed when I see somebody like devolve into that, I just am. Brandon Reviews says, hey, Enosh, what's up, Brandon Reviews? Haven't seen you in a while. Good to see you, man. Richard Gilbert says, Ambassador, how would you handle it? If you have an alternative, I hope. I hope that we can work together to find alternatives to just, like Gavin said, sacking everybody. I love that because he's from Britain. This is sacking people. I love that. Alex Brunner says, Alec Baldwin is a terrible human being. I have to agree with you on that. In a lot of different ways. I mean, all the way back. I mean, that man's still allowed to run around and do all kinds of stuff, and yet he called his daughter a pig. Just gonna say. That was a long time ago, and she's okay with it now. Come on. Emblems and capes. I like that. Says, who cares? It's in the past. It doesn't matter anymore. Look, I think that there's a time, and I don't know what that time is. I don't know what that time of start to finish is, where you say, okay, you know, this is long enough or not long enough or whatever. But you make a great point. At some point, you got to say, that's a while back. And if this person says they've changed and that's not how they feel anymore, why are we burning them for it? The Truth 31 says the CW is a super liberal network and super liberal creators behind it. Don't surprise me he was fired. It doesn't surprise me that he was fired. Isaac, my son, said this, and I gotta agree. So one of the things that I've loved about The Flash is The Flash, for the most part, up until recently, has been one of the less preachy of the shows that we enjoy, the DC shows that we enjoy on the CW. Now, the worst offender for that is Supergirl. Supergirl is just, I can't even watch it anymore. And that, I say, as somebody who is obviously a big Superman fan, you all know that about me. But I just can't watch it anymore. It's just become too much of a political show. I mean, where everything is just forced down your throat. That being said, I know a lot of people complain about Batwoman, but Batwoman really isn't what people tried to make it out to be. Just kind of like Captain America or Captain Marvel really wasn't the politically driven thing that people tried to make it out to be before it came out. So we call fair, right? We're going to call what is. But lately, The Flash has been kind of turning into that. And it's something that I really, really enjoy. I am really hoping that this is not like where we're going with The Flash. That all of a sudden we're going to try to emulate Supergirl. Because I think that's a huge mistake. Huge mistake if that's where they're going with it. The ambassador says, yeah, these people who are all about cancel culture, one, needs to get a life, and two, need to get a job if they are capable of it. Cancel culture is an easy out for those incapable of crafting arguments. It's a very good point. Have discussions. If you can't have a discussion about something, if you cannot talk about something and do it in a reasonable way and prove your point and have a good point to it, you're probably on the wrong side of it. If you immediately go to a place of emotion and you get all riled up and you start yelling and screaming and you just want to get rid of somebody and you don't want to deal with it anymore, it just shows you have a lack of communication skills, to me. If you got to swear at everybody and yell at everybody, and I just feel that's it just shows that you have a lack of ability to communicate with others. And that's part of the problem with social media, is that social media is based around these little snippets of statement that mean nothing in the grander scheme of something, and so they hurt and they cut and they get everybody riled up. Michelle, welcome. Says people have to like you. Michelle says she's next. I don't know if that's I'm guessing that's about Panabaker. I don't know. I don't know if you're saying that in a positive way, that you think that she needs to go. I don't know. Jeff says, "What's up, Enosh? What's up, Jeff?" Michelle says, "That's not only it." Okay, that's fine. But like, so you're gonna fire the whole cast? You're gonna recast the whole thing? Because I'm sure if you look deep enough, you're gonna find something on everybody on that show. I guarantee it, because none of those people are above reproach. So let's go down that route, and let's just fire everybody on the Flash. And that's why I said, let's just cancel everybody. Can we just have a day where we say, look, we've canceled everyone. Everyone can admit that they've said something stupid, something bad, something that could be construed as inappropriate, whatever. And we're starting over. Because otherwise you're going to have to fire everybody. If you're going to be fair. Like I said, Jimmy Fallon can get away with it whatever apparently he wants to. He only gets 1 day of sweating it out on Twitter or whatever, a couple of days, people, giving him a hard time, and then that dies down because he's Jimmy Fallon and he's not going anywhere. And he's got people who are going to back him up, right? And the same thing about Robert Downey Jr. He's got people who are going to back him up. Who's going to back up Mr. Hartley? He plays elongated man on The Flash, right? Who do you think is going to back that guy up? Let's see. The truth is, The Flash season 1 was phenomenal. After that, it just went downhill. I like the first 3 seasons. I think the first 3 seasons were good, and then it crashed. The 4th season just wasn't that good. 5th season was horrible, and this season has been hit or miss. It had Crisis on Infinite Earths, which was better, but it had moments of brilliance, and then it just had complete strings of episodes that were awful, and then unfortunately had to end the way that it did, and that was not their fault, so I try not to hold them to the fire for that, but it is. Alex says if they fired Danielle Panabaker, I think I called her Anna earlier, didn't I? I'm stupid. Oops, I made a mistake. Cancel me from the Poindexter Lounge. I'm just gonna have to turn this whole thing over to somebody else now, I guess, because I totally screwed up her name. I must have done it on purpose. No, Danielle Panabaker. I know her name. Danielle Panabaker. He says, I'm done with the show. I'm just saying. Michelle says, the writer's fault. I'd like to get into that. If there's something about what the writers are doing, the show has just been awful when it comes to Iris's character. They've just written Iris. I'm not saying anything about the actress who portrays her. I'm saying that the character of Iris has been absolutely horrible. And there's been many times that I just can't stand to see her on screen because I know that all she's going to do is just literally gripe and complain and tell Barry about how they are both the Flash. No, they're not. The Flash is the Flash. He deals with stuff. Yes, she's there. Superman has Lois Lane. And they help each other, and they obviously they're there for each other, but Superman has those times where he is Superman, right? The Flash is the Flash. Emblems and Cape says they wouldn't have had this problem if they had hired an actress who was a redhead like the comics for Iris. That's a whole other story now, isn't it? That's a whole other story of just changing stuff just to change stuff. But, hey, what are you going to do? There's some times where it works. There's some times where it absolutely works. I look at Lawrence Fishburne in Man of Steel. An amazing Perry White. Does a great job as Perry White because he plays Perry White. He's playing the character Perry White. So the times it does not work, for sure. Jeff says, preach it, brother. Emblems and Cape says there was no need to race bend the character of Iris other than to fill a woke quota. And that's what happens sometimes, and then sometimes it's just there are times that, like I said, I agree with you that it just feels like they're just trying to force something just to force it, like on Supergirl when they made Jimmy Olsen when they made him African American, because they literally took the whitest, nerdiest, freckled, redhead kid who's supposed to be like G. Willikers, Superman's my best friend, and I'm his little buddy Jimmy Olsen, and they turned him into the coolest. He's a cool dude. You can't take away from that. He's the coolest, suavest, sexiest, looking African American man you're gonna find around, and then they turned him into a superhero, turned him into Guardian. That's not Jimmy Olsen, right? That's somebody different, right? And that's fine if you want to just make a new character, do it. But that's a circumstance where it doesn't work. Like I said, Perry White, it does work. I think actually in with Catwoman. Catwoman works either way. We've seen that ever since back in the 60s. With Eartha Kitt as Catwoman, and then Julie Newmar as Catwoman, and I can't remember the third lady who played Catwoman back then, but there are some times where it does work, and then there are some times when it just doesn't, right? And, man, that's one of those times where it just doesn't. Jeff! What's up, Jeff? There's my man giving $4.99. $4.99. $4.99. We got Jeff giving $4.99. Thank you, Jeff, so much, man. You're awesome. You rock, Jeff. I realized I didn't give Andrew a song, and I didn't give Jeremy. So Jeremy and Jeff getting that song, and Andrew getting one too. All gonna sing together. It's true. Come on, let's do this. Let's have some fun. Giving on that super chat. You are the ones. All right. Let's see here. Moving on down the list. Let's see. Devonte Barbane says, it's ironic because people change over time, but these same people who want to cancel everyone forgets that everyone ain't going to have the same taste, opinions, and beliefs, and that people change over time. Exactly. Exactly. Man, dude. That's it right there. Applause to you, sir. Because, seriously, oh, and this is interesting, because Devontae goes on to say, Emblems, I agree. As a black person, race bending and gender bending established characters doesn't help diversity. It actually hurts it, in my opinion. And dude, Devontae, I am glad, man, that you said that. I'm glad that you came in and said that, because I think more people need to bring some attention to some of these issues, you know? But the thing is like me as a white guy, I'm not having that argument with anybody. Like, I'm not stupid, right? And I know that there are some things that I can't speak to. I have plenty of African American friends who are very concerned about these things. They're very sensitive to these issues. And then I have some African American friends who, man, feel like you, and they're just like, this is dumb. Why are we even having this conversation, right? And it takes everybody. Everybody's got some different point of view, but that's why I have many friends from different backgrounds, right? That's why I have many friends who believe many different things, who I don't isolate myself into a box and shun the world and act like that everybody has to agree with me, right? That's why I say that, the Poindexter Lounge is a place for nerds. It's not just a place for white nerds or black nerds or Christian nerds or Muslim nerds or Asian nerds or anything. It's for nerds. It's for all of us, man. This is the stuff that we love. And so you're not going to get beaten over the head about what you believe or what you think while you're here. We're going to talk about it. Or even if you don't believe, I don't care. We're still going to talk about it. And like, even if we don't talk about it, let's talk about the stuff that we do agree on, right? I mean, isn't that what really is supposed to make the world go around? One of my favorite shows growing up was Different Strokes, man, and that's what it talked about. The world don't move to the beat of just one drum. What might be right for you may not be right for some. I can never just stop there. A man is born, he's a man of means. Then along comes two, and they got nothing but the genes. But they got different strokes it takes, different strokes. They got different strokes to move the world. Everybody's got a special kind of story. Everybody's got a way to shine. No matter what you got, not a lot. It's alright, they'll have theirs and you'll have yours and I'll have mine. And together we'll be fine, cause it takes different strokes to move the world. Yes, it does. It takes different strokes to move the world. Absolutely. That's good stuff. Let's see. Jeff says, there's no second chances anymore. Nope. You're shunned unless you're certain people. Certain people get all the chances in the world, man. They can mess up over and over and over again, or if they have enough power, they're just allowed to do as they please until they do something that's stupid enough that everybody just, I guess, agrees. Emblems and Capes says, apparently she dated a white supremacist. I'm guessing we're talking about Danielle. Even though that should reflect more on the racist boyfriend than Danielle, who did nothing wrong. That's why they're calling for her to be canceled? For her to be fired? I'd have to look into it, but Emblems, I'm gonna have to take you at your word when you say that. So we're all gonna be judged on everybody that we've ever dated? Maybe everybody that we've ever been a friend with? They have to be a direct reflection, all their mistakes now, not just my mistakes, not just the stupid things that I've said and done, but now all the mistakes of everyone else that I've ever known or ever been associated with or ever dated, they're my mistakes too. Well, dang, I guess I won't be here next week. And you probably won't be either. Oh my gosh. That is ridiculous. Sounds like the Arrow. Gavin says sounds like the Arrowverse is in a right mess at the moment with two of its shows, Batwoman and The Flash. Darn it, my favorite too. I know, man. Devontae says James Gunn's were edgy and cringe. I know, man. That's things like they can make it out to be whatever they want it to be. Emblem says I live in Texas and you can be fired for any reason or no reason. That's entirely legal, apparently. And Devontae says, same thing happened to me in Denver. That's interesting. Gavin says, leave Danielle alone. She is the best actress on The Flash. I agree. And she's phenomenal on The Flash. I mean, she's playing two different characters the way that she is. I don't necessarily understand yet, still, even as a comic book nerd, how that relationship works between the two of them. Like, where does Killer Frost go? where does Caitlin go during all that stuff? But it is what it is. Yeah, just because Danielle ships Snowberry doesn't mean she should be canceled. Just because she had a racist boyfriend who she broke up with as soon as he made public racist statements shouldn't. You're right. You're right. I mean, like, so because somebody, thinks that two people would be good together because that person's dating somebody of another race that, like, they can't be, like, you can't even say that? Come on. We're talking about fictional characters here, folks. Literally, people are getting all riled up and wanting to cancel people over fictional characters. That's just stupid. I'm sorry. That's just stupid. Emblem says, yeah, just ruin her career. Just ruin her career. Yeah, you know what? She's got an opinion. Her ex-boyfriend is an idiot. Ruin her career. Well, that's just wonderful. That's a wonderful way to look at stuff. Jorman Gander says, hi guys. How late am I? You're a little late. Michelle says 45 minutes late. Jorman Gander says, cancel culture is cancer to entertainment. People need to get out of their feelings. Look, here's the thing. I was just watching Saturday Night Live a couple weeks ago. They've been doing these, like retro Saturday Night Lives. And none of that stuff would fly today. Come on. I dare you to go watch Blazing Saddles. I dare you to go watch Blazing Saddles. None of that would be even, But people act like we're going to hold history to the same standard as right now. Look, could there be... should we continue in our ignorance? No. Even the Bible says, should we continue in sin? When we know it's sin just because we know God forgives us? God forbid, it says. No, absolutely not. That's stupid. If we know something's wrong, we know it's wrong, and we stop. We stop doing it. But you can't look back at history and just go like, well, none of that existed. Or like judge everybody back then by the same things that you want to judge today by. It just doesn't work. Sir Nerd-A-Lot, love the name. Love the name. Says, in my opinion, it starts and people like to dogpile. You're absolutely right. It's like, hey, what's everybody else doing? They smell blood in the water. Oh, we got to jump on them so that somebody doesn't jump back on me. There are very disturbing, Empario says, there are very disturbing tweets from Patton Oswalt, and he's not getting canceled. Wonder why. Right? Michelle says, you're talking about your white privilege experience. What was Breonna Taylor doing and not asking? I don't know what that's about. My white privilege experience, I'm not going to go down that route. I'm not going to get pulled into that discussion. I got plenty of friends that I have those discussions with, and plenty of people that I'm willing to have those discussions with about that topic. And I've got my own personal feelings about that, and some of them probably line up with yours. That I agree with you on some of that to a point, but then there's probably a point that we differ, and so there's not enough time in the world to do that in a live stream, and neither should it be done in a live stream or in an experience like this where we're talking about you know comic book characters and stuff like that. Because like I said, I agree with you. I agree with that statement to a point, definitely to a point, and I understand that there are certain experiences that I have probably had that other people can't say that they've had based on their ethnicity and where they come from. But I also know plenty of people who came from a lot worse circumstances than I ever came from, who are of color, and they did better. So I think it's all too in how we want to look at life, and a lot of it is like how we're going to approach it and how we're going to attack it, right? So that's a discussion definitely for another time. Gavin says, can't wait, Enosh, till your Stargirl live party later, mate. Yes, we will be live tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to be watching Stargirl. And I will say this, if you haven't watched Stargirl, you should watch Stargirl. It's a really good show. I've really enjoyed Stargirl. I did not think that I was going to enjoy it. And since we started watching it, man, I have just really, really enjoyed it. Jormungandr says, do not be sorry, be better. Words to live by. Great words to live by. Most people these days don't believe in a redemption arc for someone. Sigh, right? Yep. They don't want that. They definitely don't want that. They don't like that redemption arc at all. They just want it to be and done. The ambassador says, I wasn't aware that you are a Christian, Enosh. Good to meet a fellow believer. Keep the faith, brother. I'm right there with you, ambassador. Yeah, I'm actually, and here's a big thing. I don't talk about it a ton. People who are around the channel, they know this. And we do talk about it in our live streams or whatever. But I am a pastor, and I've been a pastor for many years, and that's what I do. It's part of my life. It's who I am. And I don't make any bones about that. It's who I am. So, but also, look, I'm the biggest nerd on the planet, man. I love nerdy stuff, and that's what we're here for. And so, so I love y'all. I love y'all. If you believe, if you don't believe, I love y'all. But thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'm going to jump down here, first of all, to Michelle. It says, you're Christian, interesting. You have limited racial cognizance. Michelle, you don't know who I am. You don't know what I've experienced. You don't know who I grew up around. You don't know what I have been exposed to. You don't know anything about my racial cognizance. You don't know who my friends are. You don't know what countries they're from. You don't know what backgrounds they're from. Okay, Michelle? So I would ask you to please don't make judgment calls about my racial cognizance or my racial thoughts or any of those things based on the fact that I'm a Christian or anything otherwise, or based on the last, hour of a discussion that we've had very little interaction. Okay? That's all I'll say about that. Because you're wrong. I'll just leave it at that. Welsh Marvel says, if you've said something when you're 19 or 20 that you thought was anonymous, then own it and face the consequences. Or just don't say racist, homophobic, or misogynistic things in the first place. And Welsh, you're absolutely right. You shouldn't be saying those things in the first place. If you're smart, you won't. Some people just weren't raised right. Some people weren't raised to keep their mouth shut. right? My grandma raised me as like, if you couldn't say something nice to somebody, keep your mouth shut. And also, my grandma didn't raise me to be those things, to be racist or misogynistic or homophobic. Look, I have friends from all over the spectrum. Okay? I do. And I love that. I absolutely love that. And I embrace everyone. Do I agree with everybody about everything that is a part of their life as opposed to my life? No. But why should I? I shouldn't have to, right? I don't demand that they agree with me and everything about my life and my faith and my belief systems and everything. I will share that with them as they share theirs with me. And there's some that we can come to a mutual agreement on things, and then there's some that we don't. And that's fine. And we walk away, but we walk away nourished and emboldened in our friendship, and it grows. And that's how we should be. Emblems and Cape says, okay, no need to insult the man's religion. Now who's being bigoted? And Emblems, I appreciate that. You know what? The thing is, man, is, you know what? Like, people can say whatever they want to about me. That I got a YouTube channel. I have to be a big boy. I have to have a thick skin, and so, like, I hope the best for Michelle. I hope that Michelle and I can be friends. I've had plenty of people come in hot on me here at the channel before for things, for all kinds of different things, man. Like thinking that they know my opinion on something, and then they stick around for a minute and they realize, look, I'm just trying to spur dialogue. I'm trying to have a conversation. I'm trying to understand. I'm trying to listen, but I'm also trying to come together on these things, and let's talk honestly about these things, not just one-sided or another, but let's talk honestly about these things and what they are. And so, no, I appreciate the defense for sure. But yeah, I mean, there's no need to go off on each other. That's not what we're here for. People these days, Jormungandr says, people these days need to stop thinking with emotions. It just shows how weak society has become. Yes, because we're running off emotions. It's like we're running on fumes here, folks. We're running off emotions, and that just is the way it is a lot of times. Where are we at? This thing skipped on me. Hold on a second here. Michelle says, no, she does not need to go. I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear that, Michelle, for sure. Brandon Reviews says, Enosh. Brandon Reviews, what's up? Jormungandr says, CW DC Universe died with Arrow Season 3 mid-season finale when Ra's al Ghul drove a sword through Oliver's chest and kicked him off a mountain. Everything after that is bad fan fiction. There's some stuff that I love after Arrow Season 3, so I don't know. Everybody likes something different. It's all that's all speculative, because it's all what you like for a character as opposed to what I like for a character, right? So it's different. Jeff says, to what end? If they're going to fire people for things they have said or done and start over, how far will it go? And that's really the question, is like, how far are we going to go? Are we going to fire everybody? Should we just cancel everybody? That's the question in this. Should we just cancel everyone at this point and recognize that everyone has made mistakes? Because the question that I pose is, why do the elite survive? And that's why I call it a reasonable discussion. It's all right there in the title of this video. Should we just cancel everyone at this point? Get it done with, because eventually everyone is going to have something, or they're going to live and be lucky, and it's going to come out after they're dead. Because everybody's got skeletons in their closet. Don't fool yourself. Don't act like you're above reproach. Don't act like, I don't care what race you are. I don't care what sexual orientation you are. I don't care what nation you're in. I don't care what part of the country you live in. You all have skeletons in your closet and things that have happened in your life that you are not proud of. And you say, I'm proud of everything I see these people, like, whatever, I don't, need to apologize. I'm proud of everything I did. Well, you know what? If you actually had to be put to the fire, you should be. you should be embarrassed by some of the stuff that you're doing, world, because you're just wrong. Okay? Spend 5 minutes on social media and you'll see why the world should be embarrassed for themselves of how they act. And that's just the truth. And if you can't handle the truth about yourself, if you can't hold up a mirror and look at yourself and understand where you've made mistakes, then you're a liar. You're just a liar. And you can't come to the table and have a decent conversation about something if you're a liar. Because nobody's going to be able to talk to you. So, if you want to have a reasonable conversation, reasonable discussion, you got to admit your faults. If you can't do that, I don't know what to tell you. Christopher Barker says, I like your, looks like a Superman S there. I like that. Forgot you were going live. What did I miss? Oh man, you missed all kinds of stuff so far. I hope you've caught up. Michelle says, blame the casting director, not the actors. That the casting changes don't work. Still could be a white. Wouldn't make it work. Oh, I agree with that. I wholeheartedly agree with that. There's plenty of people. Michelle, I agree with that statement. That I don't agree that just because somebody's white, that like if it's a white character, you know, that just because they hire a white person, that character works for it. Look, casting is casting. And if you hire somebody who can act the part, you hire somebody who can act the part. I've already shared that. There are plenty of people. I think that the new guy who's going to be Jim Gordon in the Batman is probably going to do a phenomenal job as James Gordon. And James Gordon has been traditionally a white character. Like I said, Lawrence Fishburne plays an amazing Perry White. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Right? If the person can play the part, let him play the part. You know, I think that the problem is when you hear people say, well, we're only going to hire somebody of this nationality or of this descent or whatever, because then you're saying, well, we're not really looking for the best person for the role. We're just looking for a look. Right? And what is that reasoning? Is it to just make a statement? Is it to just, what is it? I don't know. But I totally agree with you. There's plenty of, believe me. I mean, you want to go back to casting. I mean, just superheroes alone, there's plenty of people who got hired to be superheroes that, I don't care, black, white, whatever, man. They just were wrong for the roles. Wrong for the roles. So the ambassador says, looking forward to having you on Saturday, because like I said, I'm going to be on the ambassador's channel on Saturday night, live with them, talking Jurassic Park. Nice. Talking Jurassic Park. I promise you a good time, well within reason. LOL. See, we're tackling all this controversial stuff over here, so that I can bring the lighter fare, the Jurassic Park stuff to your channel, Ambassador. Look, this is probably one of the most controversial things that you're going to see out of Enosh or out of the Poindexter Lounge. I just had to say something because we covered the Flash. Literally, we had one of the reasons why a lot of people are here at the channel is because we had a video that did over 1 million hits. Okay, it did over 1 million views, and a lot of people found the channel that way. And so people have come to us for the Flash for a long time, and we do watch parties. So when this happened, I had plenty of people messaging me saying, hey, are you going to say anything about this? You going to say anything about this? And it's like, finally I realized, I needed to say something about it. Let's talk about it. And there ain't nothing wrong with that. So let's see. Christopher Barker says, thoughts on a new character for Batwoman Season 2, Enosh? I think the whole thing is messed up, to be honest with you, Christopher. Obviously, we're talking about one thing here, but it's very similar, though, in this. I don't know what the heck they're going to do with this. Because Batwoman is a certain character, and now they're saying they're going to make it a completely different character. They're not going to just recast. I think that they should just recast at this point. I mean, that happens. Right? You just recast and you move on. there's no precedent for saying it's somebody else. Who else are you going to say it is? Now I've heard rumors that it could possibly they could possibly say that it's Catwoman and Bruce Wayne's, so Selena Kyle and Bruce Wayne's daughter who becomes Batwoman. But are you going to give her the exact same backstory? Because they've already said that they're going to hire that talk about casting that their first their first prerequisite for hiring someone for the role is not who it is. Are they an actor or are they an actress who can carry a series? Now Ruby Rose was able to carry a series. Okay, she was a lesbian actress who had enough notoriety, so she brought some name to the role. So she brought some fan base to the role, and then uh, not only that, but on top of it, she also brought the fact that she could indeed carry the series on her shoulders. Yet they're saying now that their number one prerequisite for it is to hire another person of the LBGTQ background. So you know, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what's more important there. I do, but I don't know why that's the prerequisite. That's got to be the important thing. But I think that they should just recast and do it with somebody who's going to fit the role and be able to portray the role well, represent the role well, and do a good job. Let's see. German Gander says people who are so caught up with race, sex, and gender tend to project the most racism and sexism from what I've seen. Very true sometimes. German Gander says Blazing Saddles is a classic. Clone Wars finale reaction video upload. I believe we already did, Rixus. Well, that was, you know what? That was during our time of we were having to do it on Facebook, and so I think it's still on Facebook. Actually, if you follow us on Facebook, the video's on there because we had a copyright strike for a while over these stupid things doing, just doing what we're allowed to do, but for some reason we got a copyright strike from Warner Brothers, and so I think it's on there. So I don't have it to upload. It's I can't remember if that's the one I uploaded. I think though that I uploaded it. I'm pretty sure I uploaded it, and that it's on the channel. It's either one of those two places though. Gavin says, "Look at all your toys and collection." Oh, they're a thing of beauty, folks. Emblems and Capes says, if you want to watch a cool series on cancel culture, watch Hugging the Cactus by Andy Signore. I don't agree with his Snyder Cut statements, but he has a great series of him interviewing canceled people. Probably because he was canceled himself, and like I said, I when people were jumping on that thing, that wasn't what I was there to talk about. I was there to talk about his Snyder Cut stuff. I understand people go through crap. We'll definitely have to talk about that. I'm gonna have to get going here in just a second, but says Speedo Kagan says, I've been here from the beginning of the stream, watching in the shadows, but I have to go now. Bye. Thank you, Speedo Kagan. We love you, man. He's awesome. He's from Sweden, I believe, and he actually designed our logo and our intro and outro that we do. Jeff says, I learned that from Bambi. If you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all, right? Christopher says, Enosh, I bought a season 4 of Supergirl the other day. Surprisingly fantastic season. I don't get why people bashed on it for political reasons. Christopher, my only problem is just been like when they just started, man, with every episode making a political statement. And that's just kind of what I got tired of after a while. And that's a discussion that I've had many times on here, and I don't want to cut it short. It's just something that if I get into, I've got some opinions about it, right? And so I've had a real love-hate relationship with the Supergirl show, and it just came to the point where I couldn't watch it anymore and be happy. And so my wife watches it. My son watches it. He's catching up on it, but now he's starting to see some of the things that I saw. And that's it. Enosh, how does Isaac and Tiff feel about the Ralph situation? So I'll be honest with you, they're both really ticked. They're a lot more ticked off than I am. Tiffany is beyond ticked that it's happening. She doesn't care what he said or what he did. She does not want him gone at all. And I believe Isaac feels the same way, because Isaac, they both expressed to me how ticked they are about the whole situation. Jermaine Anders says, for me at least, I'm not remotely trying to speak for anyone else. Christopher says, cancel Twitter, for it is a disease, Enosh. The infection must die. I agree, man. Twitter needs to go sometimes. With just some of that stuff, I mean, it's just awful. Emblem says, if you couldn't tell from my profile pic, I'm really looking forward to Matt Reeves' The Batman. Me too. Christopher says, I thought season 6 of The Flash was mostly good. The post-crisis suffers a bit in pacing, yeah. And Barry not realizing Iris wasn't Iris. Like, come on, Barry. Do you not know your wife? Yeah, those are the same problems that we had with it, for sure. Christopher also says, Wally's day for Kate Kane. Wallace day for Kate Kane, but nope. Stupid the writers are. Yep, I'm right there with you. Emblem's Cave says, I think casting only from the alphabet community is wrong. Open it up to the best actor for the role. And then Jeff says, nice chatting. See you later. Peace. And I think we're all caught up. But hey, guys, so look, at the end of the day, we just have to ask ourselves a question. Is it right? Is it helping? Is it something that's actually going to move us forward as a society and help us to have dialogue, or is it just cutting people off at the knees and just tossing them away? Because I don't believe in tossing people away. I just don't. I believe in redemption. And if we're talking superheroes, my question is how would Barry deal with this on the show? Barry is the most understanding, caring person. So you're going to tell me that if somebody said something on the show, like it came out that Cisco, 8 to 10 years before The Flash started, that Cisco had some different types of beliefs and said some different kind of things, but he had changed because of the people around him on Team Flash, and it made him a different person, and now he had been exposed to different people, and he cared about them, and he cared about these things now. If it came out, sure, there'd be some people upset, but I think we'd see on The Flash that in the end, love would win. People talk about that a lot, and they say that a lot about love wins. Where's the love? That's all I'm saying. If all these actors and actresses say that Mr. Hartley was somebody that they loved and respected, and then to come out and say, and this is on Danielle, because she's like, oh, I was shocked and appalled. Okay, but is it the same guy that you just worked with the other day? Right? If you went to work with the guy and you experienced him and knew him and whatever, so you're saying it's a different guy because of something that he said 8 years ago? Still the same guy. But you say you love him and that you care so much about him, but yet you can't bring yourself to have a conversation with him and talk to him maybe about it and hope that he doesn't get fired over it and hope that there's some redemption for it. That's what I'm saying. What's up, Cylon Scotty? Coming in here with a $9.99. I said $9.99. Ooh, I said $9.99. I like his eyeball thing. For sure. What's up, Silent? Thank you so much, man. Thank you for believing in us. Thank you for reaching out and touching that screen. Oh, yes. Thank you. Touch and agree. Touch me right there on the screen right there and agree with me that we shall see better days here in the Poindexter Lounge. He says, love your message, man. Much love. Hope you and the crew are still doing well. We are, man. We're safe. We're doing good. And we're looking forward to the future for sure. Last three things, and then I got to get going. Says Jeff says, forgiveness is a virtue. Absolutely. And if somebody asks us for forgiveness, we should be willing to give it, because you never know when you're going to need a little forgiveness yourself. Truth says, off-topic question, what direction would you like to see the Flash movie go? It really depends upon where they go with the Snyder Cut and if they're moving forward with the Snyder Cut. Because I've always said that I'd love to see the Flashpoint thing, to kind of course correct stuff if that's the direction they were going. But if they're going to keep some of these people around now, I kind of would like to put that off a little bit and let's just see the rise of Reverse Flash. I'd love to see Reverse Flash in there and see that story play out for sure. Gavin says, no mate, Supergirl is just rubbish and treats Superman character as an idiot. That's part of my problem, Gavin. It's part of my problem is Superman's portrayal in the whole Arrowverse for sure. And then Cylon says, I'm going to go to Gavin's. He says, see you at 1 a.m. UK time for Stargirl. I love the fact that he stays up. I will see you, Gavin. Wales says, hi, guys. Hey, we're just getting out of here, Wales, but thanks for joining. You can watch it on the replay. But I'm going to end with Cylon Scotty's last thing. He says, you always make my day, man. Thank you. So there you go. There you go. I'm glad that I can make somebody's day and bring a smile to somebody's face. And at the end of the day, guys, that's really just what we need to do. We need to love each other. We need to care about each other and realize that we all make mistakes. And if we own up to those mistakes and we ask for forgiveness, let's forgive. Right? We don't have to destroy everybody who did anything wrong in their life. Because like I said, I guarantee you there will come a time in your life when you're going to need a little forgiveness yourself. And a little forgiveness goes a long way. And if you want people to change, if you want people to really care about changing, the best way to do it is not by tearing them down and destroying them. The best way to do it is by embracing them and loving them and showing them that you care. So take care of somebody today. Stay nerdy, folks, and we will see you again at 8 p.m. tonight for our live stream of Stargirl with our review that follows right after. And then, of course, we always have some good discussion right after, all right? About just anything nerdy. It's kind of a round robin. Anything you guys want to talk about, okay? Thank you guys for joining me today. Thank you to everyone who gave in the super chat. You guys are awesome. And I got something special coming up for you guys on this Saturday afternoon at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. My band, Waking Vegas, will be doing an acoustic concert that we will be broadcasting here on the channel. And anything that anybody gives in the super chat, or we'll also be taking donations via PayPal and Cash App, just different things. We're raising money for an organization called the Old Newsboys. They're an organization that make sure that kids have a good Christmas. They're an organization here in Flint, Michigan. That this is an area that has been hit hard over the last few decades by poverty, and this organization's been around for over 90 years. Their organization, you can look them up, Old Newsboys of Flint. They're totally legit. We do a Christmas concert every year for their behalf. And so summertime is a time where they do some fundraising, and we're going to do a little bit, and we're going to try to help. And so we would love to have you be a part of that. Join us 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here on the channel. And anything that you guys give in the super chat, or if you guys give anything anywhere else, all that money will go towards that organization and helping to make sure that kids are taken care of. At Christmas time, this is what they do. They make sure that kids have the essentials, like some clothes to wear, like toiletries and stuff, toothpaste, toothbrush, soap, things like that. And then also they always make sure that the kids have a nice little toy for Christmas. And I will show you this. Talking about where I came from, this is an organization that's very important to me because when I was 8 years old, we didn't have much, and this organization was the only way that I had a Christmas when I was 8 years old, and they gave me this E.T. action figure, and I still have it to this day. And there's many people, many celebrities who are from Flint even, and higher people who've gone on to start businesses and lead corporations here in the area and abroad who've been helped by this organization, and they all love this organization and support it. And so please join us. We'll be taking requests. We'll have a request, a song list up that you guys can pick stuff from, and we'll be doing our own stuff too. And so we hope that you guys join us for that as we try to make a little bit of a difference in the lives of some kids. All right. Thanks guys for joining me. Until next time, my name is Enosh, aka Enosh Fett, saying love you guys, appreciate you guys, stay nerdy. See you next time. Bye-bye.